We got a lot on our agenda, and I think the hour has come for us to meet. So, if there are no objections, I will call this meeting to order. And if you would, Mayor, again, lead us in the prayer and invocation.
Happy to. As we go in prayer, if we would remember the families of the devastating incident in Orlando, and not only remember the family, but remember the community, because not only the loss of the people is affecting everybody. What happened in that community is affecting the community itself. That's a community of vacationers, and with stuff like that happening, you make people want to go north to vacation or somewhere else rather than down to Orlando. That hurts. It'll hurt a city. Let's bow. Heavenly Father, thank you for all the blessings of your love. We thank you for the things that you have done for us in this community. We thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed on this community, the energy that you have given the people in this community to kind of revitalize and make our city a nice place to live, work, and play. We pray your blessings on the families of those who have lost relatives in the senseless shooting that occurred down in Orlando, not only in Orlando, but in other places that shootings have happened. We ask that you give people a sense of urgency for respecting other people and their lives and what their lives mean to them. We thank you, though, Father, that we live in an area where things like that has not occurred yet, not that we are totally protected from. We know that if you put your arms of protection around us, it will not happen to us here. So we thank you for favor in this community. We thank you for these staff and utility commissioners who have come out to discuss things that would affect the people. We ask that you give us, guide our minds, guide our tongues, guide our thoughts, help us to make decisions that would not be in our favor, but in the favor of the people. Be with us in this meeting is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
I ask all to rise to pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out. We welcome our staff. Thank you, Victor, for taking time to come from the local news. Mr. Williams, as always, we appreciate you so much. We want to especially thank all of the commissioners for being present this evening. I want to thank our attorney for being with us. We want you to know from the outset, our love has been with you, our thoughts have been with you, and we pray your strength in the loss of your father recently. I'm going to ask for approval of the minutes for the work session on May 3rd, 2016, and the regular meeting of May 9th, 2016.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
All right.
Second the motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we will approve the minutes of both sessions as written. Are there any questions? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimous. We are going to, at this time, call for but before I go any further in the agenda, I'd like to make an agenda adjustment if this is a good place to do it. We need to adjust our agenda.
We can do it in the form of a motion.
Okay. We need to get a motion to go into executive session at the end of this meeting, personnel issues. May I have a motion? Okay.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we will go into an executive session at the end of the meeting. Are there any questions? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. All right, it's unanimous. We will have an executive session for personnel issues. I apologize for not bringing it up at the beginning of the session. Okay, at this time we'll continue with our agenda as printed. We have our activity reports from all of the departments. We call first on our Director of Financial Services, Lee Hustle.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Larry says I like to talk, so I'm going to do my best to be concise and brief tonight.
All right.
In addition to
We
what...
usually believe what Larry says.
well, I'm in trouble then. In addition to what we printed and sent to you earlier, I'd like to elaborate just a little bit on a couple of items on there. As most of you know, I do serve on the Georgia Public Web Board, and I attend that meeting almost every month. And in conjunction with that meeting this past month, I stayed over and attended the MEAG meeting just to represent and show our face and let people know that we are interested and concerned in what's going on at the MEAG level. And I'd encourage each of you, if you get an opportunity to do that as well. It's just an enlightening experience, and makes them know that we are still around and keep us in the forefront of what's going on. In addition to that, Kathy Johnson's going to be talking to you a little later about our health insurance, but she and I have spent lots of time in conjunction with other staff in reviewing our health insurance, our life insurance, our dental, our vision insurance, and we hope soon to have some quotes that are going to save both the commission money and the employee money, as well as provide us for a better coverage as well. So with that being said, I will try to answer any questions if you have any from me. If not,
Do we have any questions for our financial director? All right, and thank you, Lee. And Larry, he did what you told him.
I won't lie.
Okay. Our next will be our customer service manager, and she's not here. Is there someone who's going to?
Well, Susan's not available today. She took the day off after
A big.
spending some time away with the family. But I don't necessarily have anything to add in terms of what she's already reported, but I am certainly here to answer any questions that you may have.
I just want to say that I don't have a question. I just want to say that as a part of our customer service, the entire commission was well represented at the Peach Festival, and people were happy. With that, the booth was just awesome. It was a great presentation. It represented all departments. I believe it was the first time we'd had that at the Peach Festival. I don't remember ever having it. But it was, and the workers, see, I was getting pictures. I didn't show up, but I was getting pictures every few minutes. And those who manned the booth were smiling and happy and working the streets and working the crowd. And I mean, it was just fabulous.
And it was hot that day.
And it was hot that day. I was happy to be a part of the commission because it really, and they had that all on Facebook and everywhere. It was just showing up. Text messages and email, and then I had a class at the DUI school, so one of the gentlemen in the class walked in with his cup, pulled out his candy, said, "Would you like a piece of candy? I got this from that booth around there." I laughed to myself. I said, he didn't know that I knew about this booth, but I was happy because he was happy, and that's what we wanted in that presentation. You could tell that it was well received. For customer service and all of the departments, we thank you. We really do.
Thank you. I would like to add that Sue is also in the process of working on a Customer Appreciation Day, and as she starts to finalize that, I will keep you abreast of how things will play out this fall.
No other questions, comments? Thank you. Our Director of Operations, Luna. Angie Luna. Everybody calls you Luna, though. It's so easy to say.
Just in addition to what's written here, I just wanted to go over a little bit more. I attended the Georgia Rural Water Association conference, and I was able to meet with members of GFA and EPD to get a little bit more information and understanding on some of the things that they have coming out in the near future as far as grants and programs to help us continue to update our water system. And I was going to talk about the Peach Festival, but I think we beat that dead horse. We will be coordinating the Back to School Bash, which should be coming up in July as well. If you have any other questions, please let me know.
All right. Any questions for Angie?
I have a question.
All right.
USDA is coming out with 75-25 on certain communities on, I believe, sewer, maybe water, but I think it's sewer repairs. Is Fort Valley going to be able to qualify for the 75-25 grant?
Where would we answer?
Yes. That's good money.
Is that just water or is that stormwater sewer also?
I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's sewer.
Yeah, it's sewer, it's not storm.
It's not water. Yeah, it's just sewer. But boy, that's a 75 grant. In other words, the community puts in 25 and 75 of it's forgivable, but you have to be in a certain economic bracket to qualify. USDA started this. Linda's probably got more information about it, gotten more than I know about it.
We're definitely working on that.
Okay.
So as we get more information and we get some more concrete movement, then we'll update you.
Okay. Thank you. It's good news. Larry, our electric department, please.
Got one other thing to add, in that Peach Festival, as long as we get across to the public, that we wasn't trying to sell anything to them, we were giving away, plans to have cut the man back on the energy, they were satisfied.
They were happy.
All right, any other questions y'all got?
By the way, Larry was front and center.
I saw it. I saw it.
And everywhere. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Information technology.
Information technology and IT. Zach is on vacation this week as well.
Okay.
I think he's spending some time at the lake with his daughters. But I would like to add that Zach's been working diligently over the last couple of months of helping Luna, some of the other staff members implement our hyperweb system. We've got that in place now. We're dealing with a few issues here and there with some of the hardware, but everything's looks to be flowing as it should.
Any questions from our information technology and telecommunications report? Okay, thank you. Natural gas, Connie.
Good evening. As far as the natural gas department, we've mainly been working on in Crawford County replacing some 3/4 gas lines, steel gas line that was leaking due to corrosion issues. So we replaced 2,000 feet on Hopewell Road and inserted two houses that fed off that 3/4 service line, main line. And also we've been working in Crawford County also on Davenport, and it had 7 houses on it. It was 775 feet of 3/4 main also due to corrosion leaks. That's mostly what the gas department been doing for the month. So, any question?
Any questions or comments for Connie? Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
Luna, Andy Luna.
On behalf of Keith, who is spending some time with his family as well this week, some of the things that have been going on with the water department, they just installed a new 3-inch meter at Houser's Mill Road so that they could get off of their well water that was contaminated, and they're now working
Yes, would you please repeat that, street where the meter was
Hausers Mill
installed?
Road, Hausers Mill Road.
Thank you.
All right. Our
Well, in terms of the meter department, we are, as you know, we advertised the position for metering supervisor. I think we've got, 5 resumes in, a couple of which are in-house. We're working now to set up a panel, and hopefully we'll start an interview process here in the next week or so. Sure, within the next 30 days, we'll have a meeting supervisor on staff.
Has the timeline closed?
Sorry?
Has the timeline closed?
It has.
On that test?
Take any questions you may have about metering.
We don't have any questions. Thank you. And I guess you can stay in your place.
I will.
Time for the general manager's report.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that staff and I have worked quite a bit over the last 30 to 45 days, working on that personnel manual, which you were able to take a preview of last week. Hopefully we will receive more comments from you, incorporate those. We'll get it over to Joel and his folks, take a look at it, and hopefully we'll have it back in front of you in August. We've also taken considerable time to take a look at our salary structures. Took a look at 52 other communities in the state that have utilities, what they're doing in terms of salaries, compiled a salary chart which is on the agenda for later tonight for approval. But I would like to commend Kathy for the hard work that she's done on trying to get this thing together, in conjunction with Penny as well. I attended the MGAG annual meeting about 3 weeks ago and casted our vote for board members. However, there were all the incumbents. They were not opposed this time, so it was a rather simple process. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Any questions for him?
Municipal gas authority.
This is not a question, but just a comment. That ECG Economic Development bus tour, I think was a good thing that happened to us when people around the state came around for us to get a chance to show off our community. And of course, you can tell people on the phone what we have here, but when they can come down and see it, and it's good. And it involved not only the utility commission, it involved the city and some people from the county as well as some people from the university. And that's what we're all about. Our economic engines here have to work together. And so I think that was a good thing that was planned. I guess it was B.J. Walker that coordinated that, but I think it probably was a good thing that happened for us on that day.
All right. Anything else? Thank you. Our next agenda item is calling for old business, and at this point we have none unless there's some review. We have work session. Okay. So that means we'll move right into new business if there's no old business. Okay. The first item on the new business agenda is salary and wage schedule. Don't all y'all get up at the same time.
Bear with me a moment here. At last week's work session, I presented to you a new wage structure. It's on the agenda tonight for approval, but I would like to point out places where there were some significant changes. The first one based on information we got back from the other 52 municipalities, we found it necessary to reduce that salary range from, which was at one point it was $16.97 an hour to $21.57, and now we've reduced it to $12.80 per hour to a top end of $16.97, which is fairly significant. It doesn't affect our current employees, but it certainly affects our hiring process as we move forward. That particular job classification was based on my opinion and information that I saw with other 52 way outlined. That also occurred in one other classification, which is job grade 7, which is accounting coordinator, billing technician, customer service lead. Salary range there was starting $21.47 an hour. We've since reduced that down to a starting pay of $16.09, a top out pay of $26.25, which is more in line with what you'll see at the other 52. Once again, it doesn't affect our employees now, but it certainly affects the hiring process as we move forward. On page number 2, there's now a job grade for electric foreman. We've always had an electric foreman, but there was never a job grade. It was simply just paid $1 an hour more than they were when they were at max pay for a lineman. We've now defined that, and it has a starting pay of $19 an hour, a top end pay of $33.68, which is in line with the other 52, but it's much, much lower than you find with our closest competitor, which is Flint. And we were not necessarily trying to compete with Flint. We wanted to be in line with the other 52. On job grade 13, which is where you see the superintendents, the customer service manager, and IT manager, there was a slight adjustment there. And on this particular job classification, the starting pay stayed the same, but the top end pay was adjusted slightly to account for a couple of things. Somehow the commission had gotten us up in a position where we had linemen that were making more than their managers. We worked through that, made some adjustments, and hopefully the commission will find that the changes I made there is appropriate. Those are the noticeable changes or big changes. And I'm open to any questions that anybody may have about it at this point.
I only have it, and it's my fault because I missed the work session. I was out of town. But did we have a comparison of the old pay structure? Did we discuss that in the work session? The comparison of the old pay structure as compared with the new pay structure?
Well, what happened is those numbers are the same except for the ones that I highlighted for you there. The rest of them were pretty much in line with what the other
they already were.
Yeah, and that's why I noted the 3 or 4 categories where we did have to make some change, or I felt it appropriate that we make change.
So the changes were just in the descriptions or the job descriptions.
Well, it was in the pay grade itself. In that, like for that first one, the customer service representative, we were initially starting employed off in that grade at $16.97. If a new employee gets hired, it starts at $12.80, which is a significant reduction, but it's certainly in line with what the other 52 are doing in the state.
And while you're talking about being in line with the other 52 communities do, and I know we were researching pay grades, but when you're doing the researching with other communities, where you have a city that has a utility commission there, do you ever compare what they do with budget preparation?
In terms of
when the city developed their budget and requests are made to that commission about funding?
I specifically know that Fitzgerald, who's really the only other utility out there that's set up the way we are, they do it in a similar fashion. I mean, they have 2 different bodies in there. They're handled separately, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I talked with one of the commissioners about how they do that, and I thought they said they developed their budgets together.
That's not what their GM and CEO told me.
Okay, but do they ever give money to the city. That's what I'm trying to say.
They have a franchise fee that's similar to what we have here.
Yeah, I'm talking about aside from the franchise fee.
I don't have any way of knowing whether or not they give money to them in a addition.
I think the last time I went to a MEAG meeting, I talked to one of the commissioners and I got that information. So when we are reaching out to other cities, if you don't mind, if you would ask for that kind of information too.
I will tell you that in terms of franchise fees,
I'm talking about franchise.
Well, when you asked me how other cities do it, and that's what I'm about to give you. From an ECG perspective, when we surveyed other communities and the amount of cash that's passed out, that ranged anywhere from 3% to 12%, but the average being between 5 and 6%, which is pretty much in line with what the commission here is doing. In addition to that, I think this commission does something that others don't do, in that it's also coughing up additional dollars for economic development and a number of other things. And a lot of communities don't do that. It is the franchise fee, and that's it.
With the others though, do they have their stormwater, sewer, and all of that involved, or has that been dumped into the city's lap?
Well, I came from a community where stormwater was a part of the utilities, but it was a defined utility, and it was a revenue generating entity. It wasn't expected to be funded by other utilities.
Yeah, I think that was the reason for the franchise fee, though. That's what I'm trying to say. The reason for the franchise fee was because we got the stormwater sewer dumped in exchange for the franchise fee. So we're talking about the other things now. But anyways, we'll talk more when we have a joint meeting about that.
I'd like to address that, though. I mean, because you're talking about a franchise fee that equates to about $1 million. A stormwater fee, if you were looking to replace stormwater on the city this size, you're talking about a budget that's probably going to be $400,000, not $1 million.
May I interject?
Mm-hmm.
What would probably be a more fruitful and appropriate discussion would be the charter. The charter envisions the possibility that the city and the utility commission could create a stormwater utility. And as you know, the stormwater utility is always funded based on a survey of the community, and based on when you survey the community, the permeable versus impermeable surface, and it's passed down that way. And communities that have difficulty with stormwater or communities that do not address stormwater as a separate expense. And to the extent that Fort Valley has the stormwater within its direct purview versus the utility commission, my recommendation would be is for Fort Valley to look at whether or not they wish to have or wish to ask the utility commission to address it in that fashion. But in terms of just straight funding of the stormwater, that's, in my opinion,
I have been
never a good idea.
I have been to some classes with GMA too, and it's a presentation made by some cities. One of them was Valdosta, and I think that's probably similar to what you're talking about. But what they do is they impose a fee, which generates some revenue. We got to have a way to generate more revenue with our stormwater system, other than just utilizing sparks, because it's going to go away after a while, and we have a lot of things that we've got to repair. And so I just we're really looking into that, and you'll probably hear a little bit more about that a little bit later.
I mean, it's certainly something that the commission could work with the city on. I started stormwater utility in the city of Avondale Estates about 15 years ago, and I started one in the city of Norcross about 9 years ago, and they're both utilities that are still up and operating and certainly cover what is needed in terms of working on this infrastructure. So that's something I can provide some insight to the city so desires.
Okay, thank you. All right.
To that,
Yes, ma'am.
you were talking about permeable and impermeable. I think that I know that I have a friend who bought a home in Savannah recently, in the historic area of Savannah, and she knew from the get-go that she could not add on to the house. It's a very small house, but the city has a law that says you can't have more than a certain amount of your lot covered. So I think it would probably be good for us to look at things like that too.
Well, if we don't have anybody that's experienced internally with our utility commission, ECG can't provide us somebody, and then we end up having to reach out to a consultant to do a study on that, which would still be costly, but still it needs to be done. For example, if her house and my house are not the same size, or her, like you say, permeable and impermeable, we'd have to research what would justify that. But we're going to have to do it fairly soon. But anyway, we'll give you more information on that. But we've been talking about it, having some conversation about it.
All right. Anyone else? Any questions? We want to thank each of you for your contributions regarding the situation. And if there are no more questions regarding that, we'll move on with our agenda.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, the salary and wage.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
sidetracked.
you got sidetracked, yeah.
We do need to vote on it.
That was my fault, I'm sorry.
Mayor,
That was my
we're
fault.
going to create a fine for you for disrupting this meeting. Okay. You've heard the presentation from our CEO regarding the salary and wage scale and the specific injections to it. I'd like to hear your pleasure at this time. We need a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we discontinue the current pay structure and incorporate this new salary and wage scale.
A second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we will discontinue the current salary structure and utilize the salary and wage scale as presented tonight. Are there any questions? If not, I call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimously carried. We'll move next to our health and insurance buyout program. And I believe that's
with the renewal of insurance in July, we would like to offer our employees a health insurance buyout option. We'd like to offer them $250 if they have the option to join their spouse's coverage, Medicare, things like that, with proof of insurability. And that would be a monthly payment.
okay. Any questions regarding this? Any comments? Yes, sir.
I don't know who thought of this, but it's a stroke of genius.
I can't say.
I'm curious, how many, and I apologize, I missed the work session.
That's all right.
I'm curious how many employees we have with what I would term double coverage currently.
We don't know firm numbers because we haven't presented this to the employees. We don't want to get their hopes up. I know a handful, but we also don't know if it'd be in their best interest. It may be more expensive for them to go to the other coverage, so they may not choose this.
If I had to guess, I'd say probably 3 or 4. But even at 3 or 4, you're talking about saving almost $100,000.
Yeah, the savings is on your agenda, the potential savings.
To them or to
To the utilities.
utilities?
Remember, we're talking about $250 per month versus $2,061 per month.
Like I said, it was a stroke of genius.
Any further questions for Kathy? All right, then we call for a motion. We do need a motion.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion that the Fort Valley Utility Commission approves for accepts the health insurance buyout program as presented tonight.
A second.
Been properly moved and seconded that the Fort Valley Utility Commission approves the health insurance buyout program as presented tonight. Are there any further questions? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimous, and our attorney says it's a stroke of genius.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. The next item on our agenda is the gas rate increase.
And I get to talk about that one. At the work session, well, let me back up a minute. First, you remember at the retreat, we talked about this and the possibility of raising the gas rate slightly while we were in a period of really low gas prices, so it would not be so detrimental to our customers down the road when gas prices start to rise and go back up. At the work session, and you were provided that information again tonight in your package, Rusty Huff with the Gas Authority presented us with several different options and avenues that we could go at to achieve this goal. What we believe was the wishes of the commission at the work session was that we go from a two-seasonal rate, a summer and a winter, which puts us more in compliance with everybody else in the Gas Authority. I think one other had a summer and a winter besides us. The average of that rate would be $3.78 per Rusty Huff from the Gas Authority, which currently we do $5.40 part of the year and $3.10 part of the year. So this would be a levelizing process for the customers in doing that piece of it. And in conjunction with that, we were looking at raising the base charge from $12 a month to $14 a month. And you know, and you think about that, that's less than the cost of a gallon of gas in a month. So I mean, that's really not punitive to anybody, and it does put us in a better position for looking down the road to the future. If you got any questions about any of the information that Rusty provided, or for me, I will do my best to answer those for you.
And again, I apologize, I wasn't in the work session, but is there any consumption in the base charge?
No. I mean, that sounded rude.
But
I mean, it's
pretty quick.
There is.
At one point, we had some.
And some utilities do that. The first 2,000 or 3,000 are included in that, but our rate is not. It is strictly just the base charge.
I think I know the answer to this, but I think it's important to point it out. When we are moving from the summer and the winter rates, we are not really raising rates. We are simply levelizing that. We're averaging that. So we are not raising gas rates.
That is correct.
We are raising the base charge $2, but per month. But it is not there is no raise in gas rates.
That is correct.
I think that's real important to point that, to underline it.
Right, I understand.
Okay. Any other highlights? All right, then I call for your motion. The Fort Valley Utility Commission staff is requesting that the board will allow them to, will approve for them to implement this gas rate.
May I interject? Madam Chairman, we would like to do this July the 1st.
July 1st.
I'm sorry, I did not make that clear, but it was in the printed material, but just for the record.
I
July
saw
1st.
I was going to say effective July 1. Okay.
I also move I'm in order.
All right. Thank you for the motion. May I get a second?
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded that we will approve the recommendation to implement the gas rate increase expected to go into effect July 1, 2016. It's not gas rate increase, but
the base
base rate.
Right.
Yes. I keep saying gas. I think I'm convinced that it's gas. I'm proud of you. But you've heard the motion. Do you have any questions? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimously carried. Thank you for the recommendation. All right. Go back to our agenda, and it seems that we have one more agenda item, and that's the CARES program and the allocation of funds.
Yes.
Angie.
We've been talking a lot about changing the distribution of the funds that are collected through the CARES program to create and implement a weatherization program for the residents and the customers of Fort Valley Utility Commission, and we are simply requesting approval to change the funding distribution to 70% for the weatherization program and 30% to continue to fund bill issues.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. What's your pleasure?
It would be my honor to move that we accept this. A weatherization program is something that has been on my agenda for years, and it is with a grateful heart that you have figured out a way that we can do this. It will make a big difference to our customers, and I move for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we would happily, if I may inject a word, honor to have you reallocate the CARES funds to show that 70% of those funds will go for weatherization.
We'd like to make this effective August 1st.
Effective August 1st. We will still have some funds to assist customers with billing issues, but at the same time, we will also be helping to eliminate some of those issues. So I think it's a great program. All right?
Question.
All right?
At one point, Joanne, I know there was some grant money or some state or federal money, I don't know if it was all grant or not, but do we continue to, or will we continue to actively pursue
Yes, we intend
other
to
funding for that project?
Yes.
intend to produce some USDA and some community affairs.
We're researching all of our options.
Yeah, at one point, there was grant money, and it was a wonderful program, but you did have to come up with some match, which I believe we would be able to do with this, so it would certainly be
That tie in with, you say, USDA funding as well as community affairs, did you say? That tie in with the housing aspect of community affairs like the CDBG, because they have improved, they have increased the limit from 500,000 to 750,000. Did y'all get that?
No, did not.
I'll forward you that email. That just came just last week, and so that may be something that you want to CDBG.
Housing and Urban Department may have a few funds too for that. I'd like to add that the commission intends to form a committee to help put this together, and it will consist of the city, each county commission, Fort Valley Housing Authority, and the university, in addition to the commission representatives. So we will have a committee looking at it. It will not just be day-to-day operations, but we'll be setting forth some plans and objectives there. All right. Any other questions or comments? Then I call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. Thank you so much. We are honored to pass that motion. Thank you for your insight. All right?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank my friends at the Utility Commission for reaching out to me, asking my father. You lifted me up. It meant a lot to me. I think that I'm a stranger to Fort Valley, but just was a little boy, I fished with my father every Saturday morning, and frequently fished in an old Cypress pond. And on Saturday evening, we cooked fish at his friend's packing shed. And the one rule of the packing shed was that, there was no alcohol allowed. You could tell as many lies as you want, but there was no alcohol allowed. So we've told a lot of lies. But they used to talk about using wasp grub for bait. And the cypress pond had a lot of live cypress trees and had just a world of red wasps. And one Saturday morning, I guess I was about 12 years old, and I was bored, and I was in the back of the boat. And they told how they would get the wasps. They would reach out with a paddle, and they would knock the nest down into the water, and they would get the grubs. So I reached out with a paddle, and I hit that wasp nest. And every single wasp in the nest went after my father. And the next thing you know, he's slapping his glasses and everything else jumping out of the boat. And he crawled back into that boat, and he never said a word to me about it. And that brings me to my point, which is throughout all of this, I've slapped a lot of wasp nests, but God has always reached and put his warm embrace around me, and he's never said a word about the wasp nest of life that I struck. And I remembered that as I was thinking of you on my way down here, and I appreciate everything that this community does for me. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. We really do. Lesson learned. Never say a word. Sometimes things are just best not said.
I didn't even have to lie at the fish fry.
Pleasant memories.
I get reminded about that story about every year.
And Joel, when I tell you that I understand, I truly understand. My dad died in August, so I truly understand. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our prepared agenda. If there are no other questions or any of any portions of our agenda tonight, I'm going to call for a motion to get us in the executive session
To discuss personnel.
to discuss personnel.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded that we would go into executive session at this time to discuss personnel issues, and we'll come back to close the meeting. All those in favor, let it be known.